My name is Trey. I'm a serial entrepreneur and social capitalist. What that means is I've built a lot of businesses, some for-profit, some nonprofit, but I always like to focus on sort of a social piece to that and how are we helping help the world around us. So essentially, how are we viewing the responsibility we have as humans to help other people out? And I tell people all the time, I have the greatest job in the world. I get up every morning and do whatever I want all day long. What that really means is I find things that I'm passionate about and I go figure out how to do them. You need to go on the road and tour for 3 years. And that means fairly frequently. Doesn't mean you have to give up your other job, but every weekend for 3 years you need to be on the road, because one of two things will happen. One, you'll quit because you don't like it, you can't build a fan base, it just wasn't for you. Or two, you will build a big enough fan base in 3 years traveling around the country that you will be able to do it for a living. Any band, artist, musician in general is able to get their content out there and available to the world. And if so, the world has the opportunity to consume that content, respond to that content, build brands, build companies, and go from there. What I think about social entrepreneurship, if I were to define it, quite simply I say it's about making money and doing good. And that can be in a nonprofit capacity, it could be in a for-profit capacity. But it really is about us finding our own sort of social good or passion in the way that we want to help people and perpetuating that social good across any sort of vocational standpoint. So that may mean I'm at a nonprofit, or on the other end of the spectrum that I'm at a for-profit. It may mean that I'm starting and building my own business, and it may mean that I'm working for a business. It may be a corporation and I'm focusing sort of on the corporate social responsibility perspective. It may mean that I'm a barista at Starbucks, but I'm finding a way to sort of give back and find what makes me passionate and how I can help other people and perpetuate that in whatever way possible. I think we're at an interesting sort of point in history in that young people today are really starting to be led more by what they're passionate about than a monetary focus or sort of an achievement-based focus, because we realize that students today are going to have 20 different jobs in their lifetime. So if I have the ability to have 20 different jobs in my lifetime, then I'm not going to be constrained to the idea of the perfect climbing the ladder story that exists, but rather I have the freedom to realize I'm going to do a bunch of different things, so why not try things that I'm actually passionate about? Why not help people that I actually think need help and that want help and will respond to that? How do I make a difference in the world? So as we start to look at that and that trajectory, then we have the freedom to be different, to make a stand, to go out and try new things, because through that I'm going to learn things I do like, things I don't like. We no longer will put our sufficiency or our identity in the idea that I'm a VP of this or a senior director of that, because we're going to be spending too much time trying to remember the name of the company we work for, because we just moved there 3 months ago. But if I am against the idea of trafficking of children across the world, I probably am going to feel the same way about that 25 years from now. It gives me something consistent that I can pour into and focus on, regardless of whether I'm running a company now or working at a company later. So the social entrepreneurship side of things, things like Tom's Shoes, things like Invisible Children, things like Project 7 or To Write Love on Our Arms. I mean, all those different pieces out there that a lot of us are familiar with are examples of guys and women who've gone out and actually built something from the ground. They were entrepreneurs with a social bent. Often we talk about in social entrepreneurship that it is where your mission is either equal to your focus on profit or your mission is paramount to profit. And so we hear terms like triple bottom line, the idea of how are we helping create profit, how are we helping people, and how are we helping the planet. But in the end, it's really about figuring out how we can pour into the community, either our local community or people around the world that actually need help.